Everyone can hear me? How's my volume? So I'm playing with my cruise control deck that I wrote about on Reddit a few weeks ago. If you go to my Reddit profile, you can look at my previous post and look at the list. After this match, I'll go over the deck list and some of the thoughts behind it. So we're playing against White Weenie. This is actually a bad matchup. I'd say maybe, is it touch low on the voice or on the other stuff? Okay, I can adjust that. Thanks. Is it any better now? Yeah, so let me know if that volume's better. Anyway, like I was saying, this is actually one of our bad matchups. I'd say maybe it's like 45% expected match win percentage. A couple reasons. One is a lot of their creatures, like the loyal Cather here, are built-in 2-for-1s. This is similar to Stompy and stuff like Young Wolf. Um, this cruise control deck is designed to exploit flaws in lots of other decks, where they don't have this property. Where instead they rely on stuff like Mold Drifter, which costs 5 mana, and it's a 3-for-1, and then we can Power Blast that for 1 mana, and just grind out the long game that way. So our goals here are just to not get swarmed. And this game he has a pretty slow start, which is good. After sideboarding, we'll be in much better shape because we'll have access to things like Swirling Sandstorm. This seems to be a build that doesn't really have any flyers, at least we haven't seen any so far. So Swirling Sandstorm is a huge trump. I'll play the spread on my turn because I don't know if he's playing some things that can practice creatures. Honestly, I'm not exactly familiar with all these lists for White Weenie because it's not that popular of a deck anymore. So this is another one of these 2-for-1 creatures. We're actually fine excluding this. It makes use of our mana that we wouldn't be using otherwise. Except for counter his follow-up, but we're fine. We're fine with this. It's actually better for us because spread is better against the Veteran Armor than it is against the Doomed Traveler. So let's see. Couple options. We could spread and then cruise, leaving back the Accumulated Knowledge. We could wilds and then cruise, leaving back the Accumulated Knowledge. We can preordain and then cruise, leaving back the Accumulated Knowledge. So we're going to cruise, spending one of our blue mana, leaving 1 left. If we don't draw another island, we want to have access to Prohibit, because then we won't have access to Counterspell. So that means that we should not preordain, because then we wouldn't have access to Prohibit. The advantage to cruising first before Scred is that if you draw a Flame Slash, you can make use of that, because it's worse, it's its sorcery speed. think we want to do that. Into the Wilds play. This is only worse if the Crudes ends up drawing us an exclude, which isn't like incredibly likely. Can I click on this? Sorry, my mouse is screwed up because I'm. Oh, oops, I'm just stupid. Okay. Okay, so we didn't draw a land there. Which is pretty bad. But we did draw the exclude I talked about. So we're fine passing here. Yeah, it's especially annoying because Magic Line is kind of weird, so I have to use like a full window capture to record it, which makes my mouse cursor flicker a lot, so I can't even see what card I'm highlighting. Sometimes at least. So this is pretty much ideal. He's spending 3 mana, and we get to exclude cost efficiently. Well, not cost efficiently, but in terms of making use of our resources. I suppose if he played like a 2-cost spell, we could prohibit it and then upgraded his Veteran Armor. That's also good. Okay, so here we're in like a really good position as long as we draw a Sense of Enlistment sometime soon to start blocking his dudes. Let's play lands. Let's grade his dude, and then we're gonna pass with Counterspell and Convey Knowledge. Like I said, we're hoping to draw a Sense of Enlistment sometime soon. So let me discuss some random things I'm noticing. So like, his deck does not make sense with Quicksand in it. For one thing, he's playing with Loyal Cathar, so we saw turn 2 this game. You don't want to be playing a white drop with presumably 4 Quicksands in your deck. Also, Quicksand isn't good. Like, what is he hoping to Quicksand? If he's in a position of Quicksanding, he's probably losing, in other words. We're actually going to AK first, because we want lands as well. And then here, we just want islands. In this deck, you basically want all islands, 1 mountain, 1 plains, until like turn 15 we want 2 plains. Post sideboard, you're going to want 2 mountains eventually to have double Pyroblast. But that's of course not relevant in this matchup. So let's see. Here we're going to Prudian first. I don't want any of these. So we're at 8 to 2 cards. So we could pass with Community Knowledge and Exclude, or we could cruise. Yeah, it's a common complaint. Well, it's an issue with using Open Broadcaster software, whatever it's called, OBS, and it's a known issue where if you like capture layered windows, which is required for Magic Online because the way that works, that you'll get the flickering cursor, apparently. Oh, well, I was taking too long, sorry. It's my first time streaming, so I'm used to playing at a reasonable pace to play. Okay, but let's go over the deck. I think we would have won that game anyway. We just need to draw into either 1 enlistment or 2 removal spells in the next 4 turns, and then we like win guaranteed. Because as you saw, I was set up with lots of counter spells, counter every single creature we played for the rest of the game. Okay, let's go over the deck. So if you've read some of my Reddit posts, you'll know that I've been playing for a long time. But when I started playing again in January, I like deleted all my old decks because they're all outdated from like 2007-ish era. So that was probably a mistake because it would have been cool to have all my old decks still in Magic Online. But anyway, so these are just decks I've been thinking about the past like 6 or 7 weeks. Okay, so this is Cruise Control. The mouse flickering is happening again. Okay. So the premise of this deck is several premises. One overall thing I'll just say before I forget is like, if you were to ask me what's like the most underplayed card in Pauper, I have a couple answers. My serious answer is Daze or Power Blast, and it's probably underplayed for price reasons, but these are like really powerful cards. But my snarky answer is that Treasure Cruise is underplayed. The decks that play Treasure Cruise are awful and are not designed to take advantage of it. Like, just as an example, the Domain Zoo deck you might have seen, plays like the Mantra Riders, or it's called the 5/5, just basic all the best cards in the 5 colors. It also plays Treasure Cruise. I don't think Cruise is good in there because in the games, so Cruise in there is very good against this deck here that I'm playing because the games can go long. But in most matchups, you're just going to be just sitting around doing nothing and not fueling your cruises. You're going to be casting Cruise for 2 or 3 mana. You want to play a deck where you can cruise for 1 mana like every other turn. And there are several decks in Pauper right now that can do that. One of them is this Cruise Control that I designed. So it's designed to exploit Treasure Cruise. It's designed to have like the best win conditions so far in the current metagame, which is Sends Enlistment. It's designed to not lose randomly. But I mean, this is the most consistent deck like ever, which is good and bad. It's good because every game that you win, we win the exact same way. You all have 7 cards in your hand. They'll have no cards. You'll have all your lands in play, and they'll just like lose. Every game, and the reason this is bad is because this deck is consistent in achieving that game plan. If your opponent mulls to 4, you cannot punish that with this deck. I've had games where my opponent mulls to 4, and the game is just as close as if they had kept their initial 7. But this might seem bad, but it's actually fine. Our deck is just consistently powerful. That's what's important. So, right. Yeah, good. So let's talk about the cantrips. So I may actually change the layout view. What's it called? Like pile view? Yes. Okay. So, cantrips. We're only playing 2 Brainstorms. Brainstorm is bad in this sort of deck because this deck is so crazily consistent. Like, we're playing all the best cards. Scred, Flame Slash, hyper efficient. Counterspell, Exclude, hyper efficient. Cruise, hyper efficient. All 4-ubs. We don't need to dig for like silver bullets. The Brainstorms are here to shuffle away cards we don't want. So cards we don't want are the 2 Plains before turn 10, the 2 Enlistments before turn 10-ish, Screds and Flame Slashes in matchups where they don't matter, Flame Slash in matches where it don't matter, like where Scred's better because it's instant speed and they don't have many creatures. But we want the Ponders and Preordains because it allows us to keep very land-light hands, and we're only playing 22 lands. This is very similar to the 4-pounder Miracles build on Legacy, if you're familiar with Legacy, where it plays 21 lands. And one of the things you learn about the deck after playing it is you never mulligan a hand that has a land, either Sensitive Divine Tap or Ponder. These are like the best cards in the deck. It's the same thing here. We just have a very consistent game plan. We rarely mulligan. And that's the reason we're playing 4 Ponder and 4 Preordain over Brainstorm. And that's also the reason that we're playing all these basic lands that do not come into play tapped. That allows us to consistently keep hands that have 1 or 2 lands, but also allows us to aggressively dig for lands. Like I'll be main phasing Committed Knowledge to find lands lots of times. I'll be treasure cruising to find lands lots of times. And I can bank on finding them. I'm supposed to try and get lucky, which other decks do. So basically, we just play the most efficient cards. Our win condition is Unstoppable, Sends Enlistment, and we just win by having more cards in them. Like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of decks have random junk. Like one of the most popular decks, probably the most popular deck right now is like the blue-red mid-rangey deck with like Secret Oracle, Treasure Cruise, Mole Drifter, Flame Slash, Delver of Secrets, stuff like that. This is an awful deck. And we cannot lose against this deck. I think like 15-0 matches so far against it. It's flawed for several reasons. Like it should never, like Secret Oracle and Delver of Secrets should never be in the same deck ever. That's just a mistake. But ignoring that, the problem with that deck is it's fundamentally a worse Treasure Cruise deck than we are. More generally, it's just fundamentally a worse deck than we are. The only way we lose is if they go like turn 1 Delver, turn 2 Delver, turn 3 Delver, and we don't have multiple removal spells. That's very unlikely because their deck is not designed to use Delver Secrets. Right. Okay. So thank you for the question on Fireball. I'm getting there. Let me first explain what I meant about the blue-red matchup. So with blue-red, the only reasonable way they win is if they like chain Maul Drifters and we don't counter them, except that like we're playing 4 exclude, 4 counter spell, and after sideboarding we have 4 Power Blasts. So we're gonna win. That's guaranteed. Okay. So Firebolt. I've played around with 1 or 2 Firebolts main and 0 to 1 side. Wasn't that happy with it. This deck is actually pretty mana hungry. So like on turn 13, yeah, you can afford a flashback or Firebolt. But in the mid game, you really want to be holding up like triple counterspell. And so hopefully I'll grind out some matches tonight so I can show off exactly what I mean by the power of this deck. Okay, so sideboard. This deck's only weakness is streamlined aggressive decks like Stompy. So actually let me show off my Stompy deck so we can see what I mean by that. Probably want the card view. So this is a deck that is like really good at applying pressure. Unlike so the really popular mono blue Delver deck isn't actually that fast unless they get like the double Delver draw or even like the turn 1 Delver draw. If they don't do that, it's actually not that fast of a deck. It's actually fine just because the metagame isn't hostile to that weakness. But if you want a fast Delver deck, for example, here's one that I've been playing a little bit. We have 4 Phantasmal Bear, 4 Ninja League Powers, 4 days. This allows us to have a consistent amount of pressure. Anyway, so Stompy does have a consistent amount of pressure. Lots of 2/2s for 1 mana, stuff like this. That's problematic. Things like Young Wolf and Sif will be problematic because our removal is 1 for 1. It's hyper efficient 1 for 1, but it's 1 for 1 still. Obviously, River Boa, we can't beat that. This could be addressed easily in the sideboard or something like Returning to Nowhere. Just that Stompy is not that popular of a deck. I'm fine being weak to Stompy so that I can be favored against everything else possible in the format. So we're weak to Stompy. I attempt to address that minimally by having 2 Circle Protection greens and 2 Swirling Sandstorm. These are also useful against Hexproof. If you read my article on Reddit, I explained my grand strategy against Hexproof. I tried a bunch of different things. So like one thing to do is like only have the Circle Protection greens and maybe have some Swirling Sandstorms, and that way you can't lose because you can fade all of their damage with the Cop Green, but you can't actually win either because our win condition is attacking the Sen's Enlistment, and they will eventually draw Armadillo Cloak, and maybe we won't have a counterspell, or maybe they'll have Armadillo Cloak on turn 3 and we don't have a counterspell for that. Basically, if they get Armadillo Cloak in play, because we're unlucky, it's possible. If they get it in play, we can't win via attacking the Sen's Enlistment because they can block with like their 30/30 creature and then gain 30 life. So my grand plan against Hexproof is tap the Cop Greens and Swirling Sandstorms so you can't lose, and then use Disenchant to kill Armadillo Cloaks. And then from there, we actually can't lose and we're guaranteed to win. So the Cop Greens and Swirling Sandstorms are good against stuff like Domain, Stompy, and Hexproof. Cop Reds are good against Burn, which is kind of on the decline recently, so I consider cutting these. It's also good against random decks like Is It Blitz, the Kiln Fiend deck. But that matchup's already really good for us anyway. Yes, thank you. It took me a while to figure that out. I'll think of more things as I start talking about stuff. But if you read my Reddit posts, I went through like a pretty interesting journey in designing this deck. Okay, so Power Blast. Power Blast is like really good. We have Power Blast, Prohibit, and Counterspell. That means that we're going to be cruising more than our opponents. This is how we win games. Power Blast is also like really good against Mulldrifter. Like in some matchups, we have cards that have the potential to line up really well. For example, Power Blast against Mulldrifter or Power Blast against Treasure Cruise. Like we want to be in a position where we're Power Blasting a Mulldrifter. Of course, every deck in the format has this potential, so like this is nothing special, except that we're playing 10 cantrips and our deck is extremely consistent. So like we are way more likely than our opponent to be in a position to have our cards line up exactly as we want them to. And that's what happens in most of our games, which is one reason this deck is really powerful. The 9-Hill Spell Bomb is exclusively, well, it's solely motivated by Familiar. So actually, my Familiar list on here, it's a little outdated. I would change it slightly. So you might have seen more Reddit post where I briefly mentioned that Reaping the Grave is like the best card in the deck. And Reaping the Graves is like extremely strong against cruise control because we're trading 1-for-1 or 1-for-2 with exclude and stuff. We're cruising, we're committing knowledge, we're drawing more cards than our opponent, but they can just, if they play smart, on turn 20 they can just Reaping the Graves for like 8 creatures, and then we can't stop that. So the 9-Hill Spellbomb is solely for that. 9-Hill Spellbomb is also going to be useful against the blue-black Delver with Angler deck that has been it's become a thing now that Fate Reforged is out. I've actually been playing that the past 2 days, and I'm really happy with it. It's a very good deck. Here's my current list. There are like 3 different ways you can build this deck. One way is the way that Pascal 3000 has done it in his dailies and whatnot, which is with the Jeskai Sage. It's actually right. So with the Jeskai Sage and stuff like that, so that's more of like a mid-range deck. Another way to design this deck is with Gitaxian Probe, Daze, and Jeskai Sage. This is like an aggressive tempo deck. And then the way you're seeing here is actually a control deck. This is a control deck that can sometimes just get into an unlosable position on turn 3 with like double Angler on turn 3. Or it can just grind out the long game and win eventually. These are all fine strategies. I'm not sure which one I like more. I'm not sure which one's best quite yet, but this is the current one in front of us is the one that I'm playing right now, and I'm pretty happy with it. It seems like a very strong deck. Anyway, this deck, because it's playing black and it's designed very well, it gets to play Grim Harvest in the sideboard, which is a very underplayed card in Pauper. Used to be very, very popular, but black isn't really one of the strong colors these days because of Treasure Cruise and Power Blast. So anyway, Grim Harvest is very strong against cruise control. We can beat it just by outvaluing them, but the 9-Hill Spellbomb was also good there. So let's see, back to cruise control. So actually, let's just play some more games. I'll mention some things as we play. Yes, Drinking Control. Are you commenting on one of my lists? I forget. Okay, well I don't have a list right now. Okay, I mentioned I deleted a bunch of them. But just for reference, so the 4 lists that I'm currently have been testing the past 2 weeks are Cruise Control, the Blue-Black Delver, Blue-Red Delver, and the 4th one is actually Goblins. And it's called Control Goblins here because this is actually a control deck. I won't go into this now. This is just a preview of what's to come. If you guys don't know, play with Goblins in the tournament practice room. Okay, Cruise Control. Let's play some games. Sorry. Okay, so this hand is pretty good. Has no removal, but it's fine. Our deck is very consistent. We have pretty and accumulated knowledge. Swamps. This is mono black control. Could be angler on an awful draw. Could also be some weird torture resistance deck or some weird zombie deck. Okay, so we're going to ponder here, so we can shuffle away the worst card if needed with our expanse. So we're actually not. We don't want any of these. We don't need to exclude. And we don't need the lands right now. Okay, so 2 swamps. This is either mono black control or zombies, probably. Alright, so almost certainly mono black control. This matchup is very good, very heavily in our favor. I think I've lost 1 or 2 games against this total, just to some really insane top decks by my opponents. But overall, it's very strong. We want our excludes to line up against their chittering rats, and we do not want our excludes to be forced to use on their gray merchants. We'd much rather them just drain us for a couple points of damage and then we fire slash the gray merchants. There's no reason to exclude a gray merchant. We want to exclude Lona Scepter and chittering rats. So with that general flow of how we want things to go in mind, like, this is a very favorable matchup. Okay, so we're going to play the Island and pass because we need to exclude another creature, another value creature, I should say. Well, actually, you can exclude anything here pretty much, except for the witches. I forget you pronounced the first word of that. Witches doesn't do anything against us. Okay, so this is an odd choice in mono black. The madness probably means he has a way for both players to discard a card. But we don't care if that resolves. We're just going to exclude the scepter. That's cool with us. Alright, so we're in a great position. We're under no pressure. Like, this is pretty much ideal, except we would have preferred not having a second term of expanse. That's all good. Okay, so we could fetch with expanse and then pre it in for a counter spell. We could pass double AK. I think we're gonna do the former. So here we want a mountain because why not? Okay. We don't need both of these, but we may still want both of these. The fact that he played the Call to the Netherworld last turn means that he probably already didn't have another chittering match or something in his hand. We're actually gonna keep both of these. Spread is marginally better, so we'll keep it on top in case he has duress or something. Like, he might be playing a Kubigang Shinobi, the black ninjutsu creature, so that's why spread's better. Also considering area 5 lands, spread's better. But like I said earlier, in general, like, Flame Slash is good against the Gray Merchant. Alright, so like, this is ideal. That means his hand is full of like Tendrils of Corruption and Corrupts. So this brings up another point I mentioned in that Cruise Control article. A lot of decks just have like random removal spells that don't do anything if opponents not playing creatures. And so we're going to abuse that by not playing any creatures and just playing Sands Enlistment, and then we win. Okay, so this position highlights something that's pretty common with the deck. Like I said, this deck is really bad at punishing like 4 draws by your opponent. We're almost still going to win this game. We can't like we can't win faster considering our opponent has a slow draw. We can't take advantage of that. Like last turn I could have cruised, but I would have to discard to hand size. In some matchups, we actually want to aggressively cruise and draw up to like 12 cards and then discard down to 7, just because we want to find a in this mint quickly. This is not one of them. Like this list seems to be non-standard list, but there are some lists that run like lots of board wipe stuff, like nausea and things like this. And so rushing for misprint early isn't super strong in this matchup, therefore. Here we're just looking for exclude, counterspell. These are not exclude, counterspell. Flame slash. That's not ideal. So this is a position where we actually want our brainstorms, because we only need like 1 or 2 of these pieces of removal. Haunted Fangraph. Okay, that's definitely not standard in mono black control. I guess I'd much rather see that than see Bajuka Bog, because they can randomly top deck that once we're in the end game. Counter Imp. So it's unfortunate we don't have a counter spell, but it's fine. So we're going to discard a Flame Slash to the Scepter, spread the Scepter, untap, Flame Slash the Imp. He's not playing the Scepter. I don't know why he's not playing the Scepter. We obviously don't have Exclude, otherwise we've excluded the Imp. That's really strange. He must like not understand what type of deck we're playing, which is fine because this is not a normal deck. Oh, I wasn't paying attention because I was talking. I should have scredded the Imp end of his turn. That was like 100% a mistake. For like lots of reasons. It means we can't use our mana super efficiently this turn. Yeah, we're going to Flame Slash. We don't care about things. Yeah, reference to creature this blue-black control. Yeah, that's actually a really interesting matchup. That deck versus this deck. So a lot of those lists run like Curse of the Bloody Tome as a win condition. That's the 2 colors and a blue enchantment, getting of turn player's upkeep, mills top 2 cards. So like that's pretty bad against us because it fuels all of our stuff, and we also have Power Blast, which is like a really good way to get rid of it. Another interesting matchup is Teachings versus this deck. Depends on their exact sideboard. Like usually most main decks are like they can't possibly beat us, but if they have like Coffin Purge or something sideboard, then they're gonna win. And I'm fine conceding those games because, like I said earlier, that's just not a popular deck. Okay, so here we can finally start cruising because we're going to be spending some of our cards to move discard down to 7. So let's go ahead and cruise. One nice thing about this deck is that we don't care about anything in the graveyards except Committed Knowledge and Sands of Misfits. So it's easy just to click around in a graveyard for Treasure Cruise. That was a pretty bad Treasure Cruise. We're fine with it though. Whatever. So we're not playing our planes yet, because he might be playing main deck Land Destruction or something like that. Something weird. Whoa. Blessing of Leeches. Okay, so I think we're going to Scred in response. Want to save our counter spell. We definitely don't want that to resolve. Yeah, with regards to the Justice, we still have more counter spells though than them, especially considering the Power Blast help in counter wars. In fairness, I have lost. I think I've lost 1v1 match total against Black Control, just due to like the exact draws where he just happened to have more counter spells. I still think overall we're favored, because yeah, the way they're going to win is with continually justicing and stuff like this. But I think we're more likely to be in a position to just shut that down than they are in a position to, like, luckily have us not have counter spells. Chittering Rats. He still has that Liliana Inspector, whatever it's called. We can discard an island to that. So I suppose it doesn't matter which one we counter. We discard an island is actually better, I guess, because Fuels Delve and doesn't put us down a card in terms of draws. So yeah, we're just gonna untap. Oh, I'm one of those guys. Okay, that's fine. Well, there's a change we're gonna do. We're gonna untap Cruise and Scred. Crypt Rats. To see if another one of those Blessing of Leeches or something. I don't know why he get Crypt Rats here. Crypt Rats doesn't do anything except like hit us both for 6. Well, less than that because he's been a black for Crypt Rats. Okay, Cruise. That's the card does something. Three islands. Well, that's not good. That was very unfortunate. Let's see what cards we gone through. Just looking for Brainstorm and another fetch land. We're gonna leave up double Scred in case he has another one of those Blessing Leeches. So it's actually possible we're gonna lose this game because we've gone pretty poorly. For example, if his hand is like 4 corrupts, which is not, but just hypothetically. So in this board state, just like Counterspell, Exclude, and Sense Enlistment are ideal for us. How many Flame Slashes have we used? We've used 2 slashes. So there's 1 Scred and 2 slash left in our deck. We'll Scred the Spectre. So either he doesn't have Blessing Leeches or he's saving it for his Crypt Rats. That's fine. Prudent, this is a good draw. Brainstorm's a good draw. This is good. We will. Let's see. So this deck is actually pretty mana hungry. So we have 9 lands in play. We basically want to hit all of our land drops. Let's just plan on cruising this giant. And we'll cruise into another lands. Huh. So we could wild and then cruise for a single blue. Or we could shuffle, Scred, and cruise for a single blue. I think I like the wild's play better. We don't care about this right now. We can race it if we get enlistment. We'll go ahead and fetch the plains. Because we can get in a position we can double enlistment like 2 or 3 turns in a row. So looking for Counterspell, Exclude, and enlistment and Exclude. That's pretty good. Okay, we'll just pass. So originally I only had 1 enlistment in the main deck and 1 sideboard, and I lost a game due to enlistment being in the bottom 3 cards of my deck, which meant that I didn't have the ability to cast like double enlistment 3 turns in a row and then attack with all those guys. Anyway, TLDR is now I have 2 enlistments, which means it's like really unlikely that I lose to them both being in the bottom like 4 cards in my deck. We're completely fine with this. So he's playing both Bojuka Bog and Haunted Fengraf. Probably only playing like 1 Fengraf or something, that's fine. So we will exclude. I'm playing Bojuka Bog. Oh, never mind, you only have 5 mana. Oh, so let's talk about Corrupts, but that's not relevant. Like, we're fine getting corrupted twice, as long as we draw our enlistment soon. Enlistment represents a lot of damage. Island, that's not enlistment. Okay, so we play 6, play 5, sorry. Think of different decks. Play 5 fetch lands. And we've used 1, 2, 3, 4. How many ponders have we used? 1 ponder, 2 ponder, 3 ponder, 2 prudent. Considering brainstorming, how many cruises have we used? 2 crews, 3 crews. Yeah, we could just brainstorm into enlistment. Lots of things. Okay, so that was not good. This is the good old brainstorm lock for you Legacy fans. Playing the island there might have been a mistake. We should have played the plains so we could discard the island to something. Crypt Rats. That resolve. If he uses it, he'll kill his own imp, so he should attack with the imp first. That was a mistake by him. Sun and Blood. Do prohibit. I'm fine prohibiting this. We have 2 more counter spells. This will if it wasn't for that bad brainstorm, this would have like effectively locked him out of the game because we would be ahead by so many cards. Let's grab the rats, so if he wants to pop it, he'll have to kill his own imp. No reason not to contain knowledge here. You know it's an island, but whatever. We're going to save our lands from her outs for when we draw enlistments. This is, you have to believe me when I say this is like not been a good game in terms of sex performance. Usually it's a lot smoother with the cantrips. Okay, so we have exactly 2 flame slash left in our entire deck. But we're fine because we're in the late game, so enlistment tokens can block his rats and whatnot. This isn't really the best matchup to show off my deck because Mono Black Control is such a slow deck, slow and clunky deck, and my draw was pretty poor this game. Okay. So we're not going to do anything. This is completely fine. We're going to save our removal for his 2 power creatures. Because they speed up his clock, we're just waiting to draw enlistment and then we win. Another Ravenous Rats. Well, now we need to do a count of our lands left in the deck. So we have 12 in play, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Actually, I count on my hand. 2, 14, 15, 18, 17, 19. So we have 3 more lands left in our library and 2 enlistments. That represents 10 dudes. So with that in mind, we actually want to save a land in our hands. That was a mistake to play the second plane. We should have kept that. Sorry for my mistakes. Well, deck is not operating. So he's got like a Tendrils Agony or something in his hand. He misclick can attack with the rats. Enlistments, not enlistments. Okay, it's fine. I'm gonna start playing quicker. Being distracted by saying things out loud to you guys. Put your name, looking for enlistments. Enlistment and cruise. 8 cards left. So we still have 0 counterspells. How many excludes do we have? 1 exclude, 2 exclude, 1 prohibit. So we're still worried about crypt rats. The question is, do we want to cruise? Yeah, we're gonna cruise. What could we be doing at instant speed? That's relevant. Okay, edict. That's fine. Another edict. We're fine with this. This pretty much guarantees we win unless he gets like 3 insane cards in a row. So if you're him in his position, you actually want to be chump blocking. The way we lose this game is him getting good top decks and us losing because there's no cards left in the library. He should have. Oh, sorry. Innocent Blood. Do we prohibit that? No, we're fine. Takes over with chump blockers. So for the record, like I said, I haven't lost a black control like ever with this deck, but I have had lots of close games where like I would win with 0 or 1 cards left in my library. So we're just gonna do our thing here. We're keeping Scred, because if he draws the Grey Merchant, we can let it resolve and then Scred with the trigger on the stack. So we're going to cast the Enlistment out of our graveyard in case he tries Bog. No reason to play into that. And like I said, notice how we're keeping up Counterspell and the Scred for the Grey Merchant. If, for example, if he draws Grey Merchant here, we can Scred it and then we can't lose, possibly. That is a Vampiric Link. 17, so we're gonna have to 5. I'm running low on time, so I can't do the math properly here. I think we want to counter, so we have a 2-turn clock, 3-turn clock. Yeah, his deck is goofy. This is like, so okay, this is a bad example of my earlier point, but I'll reiterate it. Like, this cruise control deck is not designed to punish clunky draws from your opponent, or in this case, a clunky deck. We'll punish it by winning the game. Probably lose the match on time, I've been talking. But, I mean, as you can see, we're like incredibly favored overall. So we'll win, but we won't like win on turn 10 or something. It's always going to be a really long game, even though his deck is playing weird cards. But we're fine with that. Right, so we got a good old 2-turn clock. So he needs to draw a runner, because we only have 1 counterspell. So let's see, we still have 1 exclude, I believe. Exclude. We have 2 excludes. So he should not have played that land. And playing the land tells us that we win. So like, there's no reason for him to do that. And like I said, we have 2 excludes left. Just pretend he had drawn like a corrupt and we were forced to counterspell. We could still preordain and include many knowledge for the last exclude, to exclude a top deck Crypt Rats or something like this to guarantee the win. So like this was a guaranteed win, in other words. Okay, so we win this one very convincingly. If you want, I can concede the match just so we can get on to more interesting games. Or if you want, I can play really quickly in game 2. Let me know in the chat. But under the assumption that we're not conceding, Spellbomb is a candidate because of all of his graveyard recursion. Other than that, we don't really care about anything. So we could cut a Flame Slash for Nihil Spellbomb. All Nihil Spellbomb really does is stop one of his things. I'd rather just consistently not lose to his aggressive draw. So yeah, tell me if you want me to not play this match out. Okay, Lady Peanut, what decks do you have or do you care about playing with? To answer your question, interested in playing against Stompy because I'm open to changing 1 to 2 cards in my 75 to improve that matchup. Do you have Stompy? Sure, I'll play against it. Send me a challenge request on Matchland, I guess. So while we're waiting for that, I will go over my Blue-Red Delver deck. Okay. So the thought process behind this deck is this is a crazy card advantage deck with Into the Deep Hours. I have 3 different variants of Blue-Red Delver. The other 2 actually aren't on my list, but I can reconstruct them from memory. So we're playing 6 main deck Bolts to clear the path of our Ninja League powers. Also 2 snaps to clear the path of our Ninja League powers. And the combination of Ninja, Gush, and Cruise means we're going to draw more cards than almost all the decks in the format. But we also have the good old Cantrip Suite, and Delver Secrets and Phantasmal Bear. This allows us to sometimes have really aggressive draws, and sometimes have really not aggressive draws. But we are not at the whims of variance here, because we have brainstorming cantrips to kind of choose which mode we want to be in. So yeah, the games of this deck usually involve us winning really quickly. We're going to the very late game where we'll eventually just deploy all of our Delver Secrets and win. Okay, great. Anyway, thanks for the challenge. My mouse cursor is screwing up again. Should probably get that fixed. So this hand's good because we have Brainstorm and Fetch lands and Slam Slash. I'm going to pretend in game 1 that we don't know we're up against Stompy. Vault Scourge. Yeah, that is all unorthodox, but I like it. This tells us it's definitely Stompy or some weird zoo deck. The half and draw one of its forests. So here we are going to play Expanse for Flame Slash, and then Brainstorm putting back 1 card and using the Wilds the following turn. The reason we're doing this is that since we're on the draw, we're already at a big disadvantage against Stompy. We're concerned about really powerful 2-drops, like the, what's called, but the 3/2 for 2 mana. That's really powerful. We need to be able to answer that. But this is an unorthodox deck. Looks like it has a much slower clock. We're fine with that. We need to be worried about Bone Splitter or Rancor on a Ledgewalker, but we only have good answers to this game 1. Like I said, that's another reason why we're probably, well, why we are unfavored overall in this matchup. So he doesn't have the Bone Splitter Rancor. That's good for us, because we have no answer to that in Ledgewalker game 1. And this is a interesting deck. Seems weak to Electrickery, which we have in the sideboard. So the question is, do you want to Brainstorm? And the answer I think is yes. Want to find another removal spell for the Pit Skulk, still known as Clock. We drew Pure Lands. That is not good. So we're going to fetch and then ponder and hopefully Flame Slash. So in this matchup, Sense of Mistment's good for chump blockers, but in this exact position, I think we just want to get an island. Good, so we have Scred, and we will do that. Oh god, the mouse flickered. We're doing this in our turn in case he has like Vines of Vastwood or something. So Scred, as you can see, is bad here because there's lots of ways you can answer it. With Gather Courage, Mutagenic Growth, that's why Flame Slash would have been better. But considering he had the Vines, it's still the correct play to play it in our turn. No reason to give him a free +4/+4. Oh, Drake. I had never seen that card cast in Pauper before. So we probably lose now. The Rancor is very good. Yeah, we don't. Well, I'm gonna fetch, hoping to cruise into Flame Slash and Enlistment. But even then, we're gonna lose to the Ledgewalker. Like I said, this deck is a slow clock and can't do much to increase the clock. So in this exact game state, we can't possibly race the Ledgewalker. Now, if this was like turn 20 or something, yeah, we could race it because we can kill him 3 turns with double Enlistment Sheet's turn. but of course it's a stompy, so it's not turn 20. Texture Wills concede. Waste time. Okay, Sandstorm's good. Trickery's good because he has all those 1/1s, unlike regular Stompy. So that's actually one of the strengths of regular Stompy, is that it forces the opponent to 1-for-1 you, because lots of decks are playing stuff that kill X1s, because that's what Delver plays. So that's one disadvantage to this guy's deck, is that he's going to lose the splash 8 of stuff like Nausea with Trickery. Okay. So in this position, Exclude is slow and bad. And Counterspell is pretty bad too. Prove-It's better, even ignoring the fact that counters everything. Just being able to consistently counter things on turn 2 or turn 3 is important. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's make sure both my cops are cop green. Okay. So bringing in the disenchants for Bone Splitter is debatable. I'm leaning towards no. This is a bad hand because we have a Brainstorm cantrip, not a Ponder or Preordain. This hand's very good if we draw a fetch land. We're gonna keep. We need to draw a fetch land, a mountain, or Ponder or Preordain in our first 3 draws. So he mulligans. So I guess this is the one matchup with mulligans our opponent are relevant just because it slows him down slightly. Like I was saying, usually mulligans by opponent don't matter at all. Okay, mountain. That's very good. No reason to play it though. If anyone knows how to, if anyone uses Open Broadcaster software and knows how to fix the MTGO chat, please tell me, because every game creates a new window and I have to redo the scene. So. Okay. We'll scred we'll play the mountain so we can turn scred. He's not going to play the Echo Cost. Rancor. So we could Brainstorm for Prohibit. That's like a really bad idea because only 2 Prohibits in the deck. That's fine. Alright, I'm gonna save my Screds and bank on the Sandstorm. Or the Trickery, that's always a good one. We're gonna do this now while he's tapped out. Because otherwise he could, you know, Majorian Growth or something on his Ledgewalker. This has been like a really non-standard game for us because we haven't drawn any. Our opening hand is pretty weak. So we don't have anything on graveyard for the Sandstorm. So that Trickery there was a good draw. Another Drake, that's fine. Him not having a third mana is good unless he's okay. He's sandbacking land. That's good. So in this exact position, Exclude would be ideal. Of course, we decided to avoid those out. This draw has been weird. This deck's a little weird too. So the question is, do you want to Brainstorm into cantrips and fetch lands? The answer is no, we're fine. I'm assuming you're referring to Morbid Hunger. Yeah, that's not that popular of a card. Also, like I said, we're gonna do the Trickery anyway on our turn. Good old 1/1 Pit Skulk. So debatably we could Scred playing into Divine Basswood. Actually, we're gonna do that. Might as well get it out of his hand. Go for Graveyard. Oh wait, I did not know it. That was a huge mistake by me. I thought it was end of turn step. Whatever. I'll just slash pass. Otherwise, so one option there is to pass, and then when he Rancors, we can Scred. But we get blown out by all sorts of things because only has a single red mana. Boggle. What about resolve? Alternative is to brainstorm into prohibit or counterspell. But considering we tied out the excludes, there's only 4 cards we're brainstorming into, so it's not a good plan. Ponder. This is the card we've been waiting for. Which are not that good. But we're going to run with it. Okay, this is good. We would prefer to fetch land, I guess. So we have to go with Counterspell and Forbidden Knowledge. That's what we're planning for. So he still has that Rancor, of course. It's fine. So actually, in retrospect, we should have mulligans, since our plan is be cop red. Prohibit. So we can Sandstorm and then counterspell / prohibit, and then untap Cruise, counterspell / prohibit. It's kind of unfortunate that we have to use the Sandstorm in this way. It's been a weird game. In retrospect, I probably should have countered the Rancor last turn with the counterspell. I'll get to Cruise, leaving behind the Community Knowledge. Looking for enlistments at all here. So I guess this is just a really good example of how we can just shred through our deck. We don't need both planes, but we'll take this cop. Leave up Scred mana, no reason not to. He said, "Welp." Sorry, my chat's not just a little bit. Okay, so that's good. Which else? I docked the chat. Okay, so here we have our red mana in opening hand. That's good. But he's on the play, so we can get trickery against the Boggles and friends. Yeah, I'll just dock the chat to the side. I was trying to do the window thing, or like I said, it creates a new window in each game, so it doesn't really work. Still Sentinel. Okay, let's not get flame slashed. We're gonna slash it instead of spreading it, because you could have mutagenic growth or Gather Courage. Gather Courage isn't played that much as Stompy this. I actually played in mine, because I think having zero mana interaction is one of the strengths of the deck. But just based on these games so far, I don't think he's playing that in his deck. I don't think he would have room for it. So, trickery is pretty insane here. If we had it. So we just need to draw into that or draw into the Cop Green. We're gonna counter pretty much anything he plays that can't be shredded. Now Sentinel can be shredded. We'll let that resolve. And we will shred. And we'll prohibit anything he plays to save it. We're going to prohibit this because it increases this clock and shuts off the trickery. I guess Tom Scott in the chat was correct that he was playing Hunger. I suppose it's good in this particular deck because he has all the hexproof creatures as well as the veg walkers. So just getting the +1/+1 counters is like good as opposed to just pump. Okay, I'm gonna counterspell this because we might be forced to cruise next turn. We're still fine if we draw one of the 2 cards I mentioned, and that is not one of them. Okay, so options are we could cruise paying 3 and then draw that trickery. We could AK into Cop Green and play it against the Boggle. Or we could AK into Cantrip into a trickery. So out of all those, the cruise plan sounds the most likely. So I guess this is, we got some bad draws in terms of drawing lands, not drawing cantrips. Actually, if we cruise, that shuts off Swirling Sandstorm. He did if he has a pump spell. If he had a pump spell, arguably he might have saved the Metal Sentinel. I'm going to go with the cruise plan. Feel free to disagree with me in the chat. Okay. Well, the Crewmate Knowledge Pipe will definitely lost this game. So in this position, we're going to preordain. Hopefully he doesn't have a pump spell. We probably lose. That works. Okay. So against that particular version of Stompy, we are less unfavored. His deck's slower, he plays lots of 1/1s, turns on our trickeries. I'd say that we are like a 48-ish% chance to win the match, whereas against regular Stompy, we're closer to 40% probably. So anyone in the chat who wants to play me can play me. Otherwise, I will play some more games in the practice room. Okay, well, we will play against him in the tourney practice room. That works. Oh. Okay, I guess not. My magic line is bugged. I can't do anything. That's annoying. I'm gonna have to kill magic online. Alright, that's weird. It's the first time that's happened before, but it's to be expected with the B4 client, I suppose. Landon, if you want to challenge me, I'll play. Yeah, the annoying part for me is when this happens a lot. That's happening tonight, but when like there's a prompt that I can press F2 to say okay, sometimes I won't register the F2, and then I'm not sure if it didn't register the F2 or if it did and it's lagging. And so the concern is if I press F2 again, then I'll skip my main phase or something. Oh, it's my rotate at the moment. So apparently, if you did, screw us both over. Just kidding. Okay, that's in this game then. Actually, this is the same on a black deck. We don't want to play against that. I don't think that's a very interesting matchup. We're incredibly favored, and even if we're incredibly unfavored, that wouldn't be a matchup I would be interested in trying to improve. Because it's like basically unplayed. For good reasons, since Treasure Cruise is a very good card. Oh goodness. Need to keep this one. Once again, we'll pretend we don't know he's on Stompy. Okay, so this hand is very weak against the aggressive creature decks in the format. In this Smitten Plains are dead cards. We don't have red mana, we don't have removal. We're gonna mulligan. Also considering we're on the draw. This hand, much worse. Okay, well, that is the first time I've ever mulliganed below 5 with this deck. I've played well over 100 games. Well, let's do. So this is the blue-black deck, probably, that he was talking about. I suppose, like I was saying, the cruise control deck cannot punish slow starts by the opponents. His deck can, because he can sneak in a Curse of the Bloody Tome, like right now, and then probably lose, because we don't have Power Blast game 1. He doesn't have a Curse, that's fine. Deep analysis. Yeah, so some versions, I think most versions don't play community knowledge. That's always an interesting dynamic when both decks have community knowledge. Like, for example, the blue-black angler deck, cruise control has more card advantage because we have exclude, and our treasure cruises are better actually because we have power blast. But if we like it too aggressive for our community knowledges, then it can blood with theirs. So talisman is actually interesting. We're not going to bother counting that. Like, I think I'm like 2-1 in matches against this deck. And the games I've lost are when he has multiple talismans, the Justice with buyback, and I've gotten unlucky and I've been drawing counter spells, and he has for whatever reason. Good old cruise for 6. We would not counter this because he's gonna have to discard the hand size to it. Good, yeah. So I think that's good play by him. Well, if he already has the curse and counter backup, then he wants to be aggressive and do that. Since we're stumbling on our mana, we can't have 2 counter spells yet. But barring that, he's in no rush. So after sideboarding, things get a lot better for us. You get Power Blast, you get Disenchant for his Talisman, we get to side out our bad cards. Alright, so this is probably bad news bears for us. He's gonna counter back. We're gonna do it to fuel our cruise. We mulled before, you don't expect to win this game anyway. And misments. It'll be funny if we draw a Sprinkle Bog. So perhaps we should have brainstormed and then preordained. That was a mistake by me. I wasn't thinking straight. Yeah, we should have definitely done that so we could put away our red removal. That was a mistake. We will brainstorm and then cruise. Actually, this is like a situation where no rush to cruise quite yet. Right now we're looking for lands. The reason being, we need to eventually win our counter war over his Justice. Encourage Justice. Brainstorm plus Curse is a pretty good combo for us. I suppose that's notable. Yeah, we can cruise here. Since we have Exclude to discard. Exclude is nothing in this matchup. Now, if you read my Reddit post, you might recall that I mentioned with this deck, there's the possibility of actually sideboarding into a creature-based deck. That's because against some decks, they'll not have that much removal, so that way they'll be setting out all the removal and then we just win. But the reason we're able to even have that possibility is just because our core deck is really strong with all the basic lands and cantrips. It's in counter spells and removal. It's just a strong core of the deck. Actually, let's go ahead and brainstorm over this Flame Slash. We don't need mountains either for the same reason. Okay, so we have 7 mana. He's already used one counterspell, right? We're going to start doing things. Okay. I miscounted his lands in my head. We should have waited till we had the double counterspell back up. For some reason, I thought that he would not be in a position to do that. Well, now we can do it. Yeah, I should have played Community Knowledge at the end of this turn. Just paying attention. You need to. I usually don't make any mistakes when I play not streaming, but just to get better at streaming so that way I can do well on the dailies on Saturday. Pristine Talisman. So, Justice. Justice costs 7 total to buy it back. He has access to 5, 6, 7. So you can't Justice this turn, this wants to be countered. But if we burn our counterspell, then we can't counterspell his Justice with it. After that's resolved, unfortunately. He doesn't know that detail, though. He might think of 2 counterspells. And now we have 2 counterspells. That's always good. So playing land here doesn't help us, because we get this 5 mana. But actually, yeah, I'll play lands where I can cruise and do things next time around. Okay. So he has 1 counterspell left in his deck. We have counterspell and prohibits. So it's actually just a race against the good old curse here. Justice is no longer a problem for us. Now the question is, do you want to play around him having his last counterspell. We will. I think I'm gonna lose because I miscount his lands that one turn and gave him a free justice. Gonna be a tad short here. So we have 9 lands, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 3 lands left in our deck. Yeah, we're gonna be like 2 turns short because we're low on lands here. Ideally, we'd be in a position to double enlistment. So I think that's a mistake. All right, we'll concede to that. It cuts in our clock too much. Well, for a Molder 4, that wasn't too bad. Okay, so he gets a disenchant against his tomes and his pristine talisman, whatever it's called. Pyroblast against all of his things. We don't want removal. Now spell bomb harder than a scred because he has deep analysis and things. Curses of his own. And then the last card off the scred. The excludes are dead. How much do there? In other versions of this deck, I played more counter magic in the sideboard, but I've kept that to be more competitive against Stompy and Hexproof. Of course, the counter magic would have been better here. In earlier matches against this sort of deck, I've been able to side out like everything. Have no dead cards in post sideboard games, which is very strong. So this hand's a lot better because we don't have to mull to 4. So he's mulling to 5, but like I said, we can't really punish that. The way you punish that is just by consistently getting to our desired game state. So basically, our plan is to use Disenchant on his Pristine Talisman, and use Power Blast on his Curse of the Bloody Tongue, and then just to win the eventual counter war over the Inventor's Justice. And it's a fairly strong game plan, barring weird things like what's it called? Just weird grave removal in a sideboard that you might have. We can play around the Chukabog. Unless last game we're in a situation where we're losing, we can't do that. But if we're already winning, we can play around pretty simply. I'm gonna burn a counterspell here. That's not ideal. Our cantrips early in the game didn't really yield much, which was bad. Okay, so in this position, I'm going to AK for our lands. Turn to like a cruise. Actually, this is like the rare situation where we're going to cruise for more than 1 mana. That's like very rare with this deck. Usually the right play is just to wait to cruise with 1 mana. In basically every matchup except against Stompy, you're under no pressure because of all your efficient removal. So one option is to just play Enlistment. If he has 9 health spell bomb, we won't be able to counter that. Let's actually play it safe. I think we're winning here. We're not going to fight over his card advantage because very few of his cards actually matter. We have much more counter spells than him, so we have a higher density of relevant cards. So this is pretty sweet. We can discard Command Knowledge and Command Knowledge. Good old combo. Hard Blast mana, that's always good. So he's gonna have 6 mana next turn. That's not enough for Justice. Yeah, we will dismiss. So he could be sandbagging with Jukabog. He is, that's fine. So the way you play around Jukabog in general, which I did not this game, is you get in a situation where you can double enlistment in one turn, and then double enlistment the next turn with your second enlistment. And that should be sufficient to win the game. But that requires us, like, getting to turn 25 or something. For whatever reason, I decided to pick the risky play here. I he'll spell bomb. Yeah, sure. I will do that. What's off his treasure cruise? Because it's already at the point where you can deep analysis and immediately flash it back. Shrivel. We are going to be aggressive and counter this. Because we walked into the Bajukabog earlier. Normally we don't want to counter this because similar to our deck, his deck has lots of removal, can't sideboard all of it out, so he probably still has some Chain Energy decks and stuff like that in there that he'll eventually draw before these two soldiers kill him. Apparently not. He's going to counter back. That's good news for us if he counters back. Okay, so he doesn't counter back. I think that's the right play by him. We will not fight this. The fact that he still has Innocent Blood means that he sure he still has Chain Energy deck, which means that, like, those two soldiers are not going to win the game anyway. Exclude, more for dead cards, not good. So he has enough mana for Justice buyback. That means that we can't tap out to Cruise just yet. I suppose I could have Cruise with 2 mana for Counterspell. I want to try to get more of my Cruises. For example, now I can do it with Counterspell and Fire Blast. We are not in a position to be double enlisting yet, so we'll get Islands. Wait, did I miscount my lands? 3. I miscounted my lands. I kind of didn't last turn anyway. So he has 7 mana, so he could Justice with Dispel backup, which we do not want to run into. So right now, nothing he can do really scares us. We just want to start drawing some good cards. Well, so the way Moto works, you can see when your opponent is trying to delve. So he saw me try to delve last turn, so he knows I have who's in my hand. But that's unfortunate that that was a tell. But on the other side, he used one of his bogs. That's one less. Well, that's the bog he turned into the aqueduct, but that's also a bog he could have used on our enlistments. So it's not the end of the world. We definitely don't want to counter this. We have this disenchant and the Power Blast. We are going to not do anything and let this fuel our delves. We'll disenchant in a few turns. Counterspell. Okay. Still not gonna cruise yet because he could have the Justice plus negate or dispel or counterspell. This has been a weird game. Turn 11, ideally we would have 11 lands. Like I said before, we basically want to have every single land drop up until like 12, 13, 14 lands. Talisman. We will disenchant that and Power Blast his tome after it feeds our delve for another turn or two, depending what happens here. Okay. Oops, I forgot to disenchant Talisman. Jeez, I'm bad at streaming. Okay, so 8 mana, 9 mana, 4 mana. We're gonna wait one more turn and actually disenchant this time around. That Talisman. Well, first we're going to disenchant the other one to see if this disenchant resolves. And if it does resolve, we actually want to counterspell this. Our clock is going to be really slow this game. How many cruises have we used so far? 1. So the open question is, considering we're spending 2 cards now, do we even want to Power Blast his Curse? Because we can already cruise next turn easily. I'm going to save the Power Blast for Counter War, considering I just used the disenchant counterspell. How many brainstorms do we have left in our deck? 1. Oh goodness, Moto is being really laggy. Maybe you saw that. We didn't Wilds first there because Wilds is good if we find a brainstorm, Shahwaides excludes. 5 cards. Disenchant. Remains up in our deck. Because I'm playing really slowly because I'm streaming. Yeah, we're gonna play land, pass. In return, we're going to disenchant. And then hope to draw enlistment next 3 turns and win from there. Counterspell. Evil Pyroblast back. Spell Pyroblast. Counterspell is counterspell. The reason I Pyroblasted over counterspell there is because I know I'm going to win the counter war if he forces counter war. So there's no worry about me like not killing the curse. Because if I didn't kill the curse, then I want out the Pyroblast to kill the curse the next turn. But that wasn't a concern, is my point. And so it'd be better to have, so given that the curse isn't to die no matter what, I'd rather have the counterspell left over than the Pyroblast. We're gonna not wilds because we put 2 bad cards in the bottom of the library earlier. Great. And we got paid off with the brainstorm. Now we will brainstorm. Put these useless cards back. We'll shuffle. Now we want the planes to double enlistment action. And we shall cruise. So so I want you to, for a moment, just ignore the game state and the fact that it's been kind of a weird game with Jukabog play early. Just focus on that 1 turn. That 1 turn is like pretty good showing for our deck. We just played some cantrips and cruise. We're pretty much the best deck in the format at doing that. Fortunately, our cruise was really bad. That's kind of beside the point for what I was trying to illustrate there. Alright, so we instantly get back to Jukabog. That means we need to win the game with 5 soldiers. So considering he has Jukabog, there's no point in saving more than 2 lands in our hand. 1 or 2 lands in our hand. How many Pyroblasts have we used? 2. Yeah, just in case. So it's really weird to me that he hasn't casted Chainer's Edict or anything. Chainer's Edict is a lot better than Instant Blood in this matchup. We saw Chainer's Edict game 1, so like I don't know why he would take those out and not take out Instant Blood. Maybe he just hasn't drawn me yet. Scred. Good old 1 Scred that we left in. Not good draws for us. Curse. Huh. Well, our past like 6 draws have been bad. Like 6 cards drawn, not 6 draw steps. So I think we're losing this game. Not good. Like even like Justice with buyback would have been fine there. He doesn't know that. For considering our hand is trash, Justice with buyback would have been winning too for him. So I still think this matchup's favored for us, just not like incredibly favored. Incredibly incredibly favored. Huh. His hand must be trash too, if he's letting that resolve. Either it's trash or that was bait for a Justice buyback. No? Okay. Exclude. Okay, so I think we've drawn every single bad card in our deck. Well, there's still 1 more exclude. That's unfortunate. It's a win with the life gain. Oh. I learned. Not good. So yeah, like we are very unlikely to win this game. This hand needs to be 7 blanks. And it's clearly not. He's watching Justice. Or not. Okay, well you can flash it back increasing our clock. Talisman. Talisman is actually the game because we are disenchants. say triple counter spell. He was playing them on very conservatively, which is good. No reason to be aggressive. Very macabre. That's interesting. Interesting card. Curious of the merits of that over like Coffin Purge or Crypt Incursion. I guess it's 0 mana for against familiar. Thanks for the games, Landon. Oh, oops. Well, I apparently selected my Delve deck. That was a mistake. On the draw, we keep this as a weak hand though. Okay, so yeah, that's what I figured. So for those of you who didn't see my 30-second deck tech for this, I'm playing Rune Snag. This is more of a control-y version. The sideboard actually needs some work. I forgot to fix that for the streaming session. I'll discuss that when we go to sideboard games. Yeah, so this is like a pretty bad hand. Might have been a loose keep for me. Here we want to draw like another fetch land, a brainstorm, and then a mental note effect. So Ponder, Island Pass, he's probably on the blue-red control deck. I don't think any Delver deck would have kept this weak of an opening hand. So if he's on blue-red control, there's no reason to play our Delver. The match plan against blue-red control, is this mono blue control or something? But anyway, the match plan against blue control is actually side out our Delvers. We just have 4 Anglers and the Grim Harvest. Delver is pretty bad, especially on the draw against blue control. We can't protect it enough for us to win the game with it. And if you agree with that logic, then you should also agree that Delver itself is awful on blue-red control because they can't protect it at all. Countering Community Knowledge. That does not seem optimal. Okay. So here we're going to Delver. He's probably just untap and straight arrows it. That's fine since arrows isn't kill Delver anyway. Okay, so this is mono blue control with Muldrifter, Delver, and Spiral Golem probably. Delver is even worse in this deck than in the blue-red deck. At least in the blue-red deck you can kill blockers, for example, opposing Delvers. So we have some options here. We could AK into a land for a brainstorm. We'd brainstorm. Oh, okay, he's gonna snap. Fine. In this position, we're gonna run our Delver into a counterspell because our plan is to move with Angler anyway. So this is either Delver on like this is either like good blue Delver on an awful draw, or it's like a bad mono blue control deck. We're still fine in this game, honestly. We just want to draw Terramorphic Expanse to get our Black Source or Snuff out, etc. Yeah, so this is just a bad deck in my opinion. For instance, exact game states, which was very good. That's the thing with Muldrifter, it's kind of high variance, which is counterintuitive. It's high variance because, I'll elaborate on that. With these sorts of decks, you don't actually want to ever get 5 mana. You want to get like 4 mana and then Gushing or something. but you need 5 mana for Mole Drifter. But if you're paying lots of land, then it's Delver awful. Like note hits as inflict. Yes. Gonna accumulate knowledge, looking for fetch land. Okay, well we have the Brainstorm Bot Scour combo. In this exact position, let's go to Cruise. We're gonna win the kind of war over our Cruise. And I need to aggressively get these Angers out. Considering his deck, considering he's not playing straight arrows, I would have loved to snuff out his spell sorcerer sprites a few turns ago, my Delver. But alas, it's not in the cards. So he's playing Gush and Muldrip in the same deck. So I was just explaining how I was just motivating why I want to be playing like exactly one of those two cards. Gush is very good. I think Delver deck should be playing on Gush or something. You should be playing Gush and Muldrifter. Whatever. Him playing the Sprite there is also a mistake. He's trying to make use of the Gush mana, but he's much better off saving the Sprite to counter something, because he can just win with his board. I suppose he doesn't know exactly what we're playing, because our draw has been like awful, but that's no reason to play out the Sprites. Considering I played out the Sprite, I actually would have returned the other Sprites. That's my hand there. He's gonna tap out. So the ideal draw for us is going to be in Swamp for Snuff Out and Angler to block his dudes. But we're probably going to lose this game, unfortunately. We're favored in the sideboard games, though. Favored game 1, even. Okay, so Brainstorm. We found the Expanse. Okay. We're going to cruise first. See, if we cruise first, Jurist can concede to save you guys this time as we win this game. If we had drawn an island there, we have a shot at winning. Okay. Oh, right. So I mentioned that the sideboard here is wrong. We should be playing 2 Dispel and 2 Negate total, and then my 2 slots should be something else I haven't thought of yet. But as for what we want to do, Rune Snag is going into Small Drifters, which are a bad card. Also go on the play. So Delver, if this was blue-red control, for example, we would side out the Delver. But it's not, so we're going to keep it in since we're a much better Delver deck. Edict, not so hot because he has random cards. So in this position, we're actually going to cut 1 Momentum and 1 Thought Scour and play the control role. We have more removal, more card draw, etc. This is a good hand. We can draw an angler here and we're in good shape. Okay, so we're going to... We have a lot of options here. We could turn 1 mental nodes into turn 2 Moon Snag or AK, or we can play the Expanse. We can go with mental notes roots, and save the Expanse for a Brainstorm. So when you have the basic island already, Mental is always fun on turn 1 because it enables turn 2 angler. For example, if in our next 2 draws, it's angler and Thought Scour or something. Or next 2 draws for turn 3. It's just a really strong play. Okay. So we will pass with Moon Snag and AK. So the goals here are to counter his Mulldrifters. He's probably playing like 2 or 3 Treasure Cruise that he'll be playing in his deck, not 4. So the goal is just to counter those cards that matter and not get blown out by Spell's First, right? That's the reason that Ghastly Demise and Sand Powder are really good, because they're really cheap. So he kept the hand with Pyridine and then didn't see a land in his first 4 draws. Not good for him. Unlike Cruise Control, we can capitalize on this stumble of his. For example, next turn we can Cruise or Angler, depending on what we draw. Thought Scour. So we get Thought Scour into an Angler. Okay, I'm going to play it super safe and not do that. So there's some merit into Thought Scouring and passing because we have Ghastly Demise in case he has like Cloud of Fairies. We can Ghastly Demise with the trigger on the stack. So here we're going to crack the Expanse before Thought Scouring because we don't want the extra lands. We're probably going to draw another land in the next 5 draws and put in the Cruise anyway. So the ideal thing here is like Cruise into Angler or something. So it is notable that he has the Piracy Charm. Makes our Delver worse. So in this position, we could Cruise into a land, into Delver, into Moon Snag, or we can just Delver into Moon Snag. That seems fine. Sky Clock going. We're in our rush to Cruise. Yes. Like, our Cruise is going to resolve. We're going to snap back up. He doesn't even have mana for negate or kind of spell. Even if he did, it was going to resolve. Okay, so I think we're very happy with this setup.